Hello everyone, welcome to APTI PLUS Academy for Civil Services. This is a special video on Fortnight current affair, also known as FCA, where I'll be covering 10 important news for the entire fortnight. This is Fortnight 2 for the month of February. We have two fortnight every month. The first fortnight is being released on second Sunday, and the second fortnight is released on fourth Sunday. The FCA include the coverage from three important aspects. The first is the Hindu, that is the Indian Express, and the PIB, right? So the coverage include three important sources. So without any further delay, let's get started with the topic list. These are the 10 important topics that I'll be discussing one by one. For more details, you can pause this video and you can read out the entire topic list. So before I proceed, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe APTI Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press our like button. So starting with the first news of the day, the 12th edition of Presidential Fleet Review, again something relevant for the prelims as well as for the mains, and those specifically who are preparing for the CAPF examination, उनके लिए भी काफी relevant है. So the Presidential Fleet Review, that is a 12th Presidential Fleet Review, was recently hosted by Indian Navy in Visakhapatnam, right? And this fleet also commemorate India's 75 year of independence, right? And this presidential fleet was followed by the largest ever multilateral naval exercise known as Milan. So these 3 points is again relevant for your examination. Now, what is Presidential Fleet Review and why does it take place? See, first and foremost that it take place during a tenure of a president. किसी भी प्रेसिडेंट की जो टेनरशिप होती है उसके प्रेसिडेंटशिप में एक बार जरूर होना है प्रेसिडेंशियल फ्लीट. इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. नाउ अकॉर्डिंग टू नेवी, ये जो फ्लीट है दिस इज द लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग ट्रेडिशंस जो कि अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड फॉलो की जाती है, एंड इट शोज द लॉयल्टी एंड एलिजियंस ऑफ सोवरेनिटी टुवर्ड्स द स्टेट्स, राइट? सो this is the main purpose and rationale behind the Presidential Fleet Review. Until date, 11th Presidential Fleet has conducted since independence, जिसमें कि दो international रहे हैं, which was conducted in 2001 and 2016. So this is how the Presidential Fleet Review take place, and it ensures that there is an assembly of SIP and pre-designated place for the purpose of displaying loyalty and allegiance to the sovereignty of the state. So this is the main purpose. President take the chair of this fleet, and the Navy demonstrate the exact capabilities of Indian Navy. Now it has been reported that more than 60 ship and submarines, which include 50 aircraft, participated in the review. Now the vessel of the Coast Guard, the Shipping Corporations of India, the National Institute of Ocean Technology और जो submarines है ये सारी चीजें ने so participate किया to ensure that whatever capabilities we have to be forecast. Now Indian Navy pass that includes the latest acquisitions of MiG-1 MiG-29K, Boeing P-81 Neptunes, and HAL Dhruv Mark III. So these are some of the advanced acquisitions made by the Indian Navy. Now, there was a multilateral Navy exercise with the name Milan. According to this, the Navy has over 45 countries that has extended the जो invitations दी गई है 45 countries को दी गई हैं, and the invitation was sent to almost countries that include France, Iran, Bangladesh, United States, UK, Australia, Japan, and South Korea, right? The harbor phase of the exercise will held from February 25th to 28th, and it would allow the participants of the Navy to discuss the maritime subject to common interest has. Even the Indo-Pacific region is something which would be concerning the exercise. Milan 2022 is an 11th edition of the event that would held under the aegis of Eastern Naval Command. So this is specifically important for those who are preparing for CAPF examination, right? So those who would be appearing for CAPF, उनके लिए इस तरह के important facts relevant होंगे. Now, important of EOS 4 launch, we'll see the detail and how this is going to be significant for India. ISRO ने successfully launch किया है Earth Observatory satellite को, which is EOS, and apart from this, two important satellites was also launched. That was Inspire Sat-1 and INS-2TD, right? So this was on board the PSLV के through recently इसको launch की गई है, and just after one successful launch in 2021, जो ISRO है that is getting back to business with ESO4 on the Earth Observatory satellite, right? Because of the pandemic and COVID-19 restrictions, things was not taking in the right direction. So the first 19 launches was planned in 2020-22, and ISRO has planned for Chandrayaan 3 and include Gaganyaan missions also. So this would be further executed in due course of time. क्या है EOS-4? It was first launched in November 2020, but कुछ माइक्रो सैटेलाइट जो लॉन्च की गई उसमें सक्सेसफुल नहीं होने की वजह से the thing has failed, right? So this is EOS-4, a series in the Earth Observatory satellite that begins to launch a new generic name. और इससे पहले जो अर्थ ऑब्जर्वेटरी सैटेलाइट इंडिया ने लॉन्च की है दैट इंक्लूड कार्टोसैट, ओशियनसैट, रिसोर्ससैट, ईसैट एंड स्टारसैट. So these are some of the important achievements that already India had made. Now क्या advantages होंगे EOS-4 के अर्थ ऑब्जर्वेटरी सैटेलाइट फोर्स के? So these are important point that is again relevant for the prelims examination. आपसे एग्जाम्स में prelims से पूछे जा सकते हैं कि क्या क्या benefits हो सकते हैं. So ISRO was designated to provide the high quality images for the application which would be used for agriculture, forestry, plantations, flood mapping, soil moisture and hydrology. What are the important benefits of EOS-4? Some of them include land and forest mapping and monitoring, mapping of resources like water, mineral, and fishes, weather and climate observations, soil assessment, and geospatial contour mapping. So these are some of the possible benefits of the EOS satellite that is again relevant. And if you're writing in mains paper also, आप ये benefits को highlight कर सकते हैं. Center approved plan for police modernization, something very important steps which was long pending, and even the plea was filed in the Supreme Court by the Prakash Singh. There was a judgment specifically given. We'll see the detail of that as well. Now let's understand what the government has come up with. So the center has approved the continuations of mega modernization scheme अगले 5 सालों के लिए decide की गई है, and a financial outlay of 26,275 crore rupees has been given, right? So this is for the period of 5 years, that is till 2026, and the way forward towards it is the modernization and improving the functioning of police forces in the state as well as in the union territories, right? So this does not include any paramilitary forces, rather this is more a development towards the state's forces and the UT forces. Now plan for scheme according to the Ministry of Home Affairs, ये schemes जो हैं basically कुछ important aspects पे include करेंगे, like development of high tech forensic laboratories and investigations tool, scheme for internal security law and order जहाँ पे modern technology adopt की जाएगी by the state polices, assistance will be given to the states in the narcotics control, and even it will call for strengthening the criminal justice system by developing a robust forensic setup in our country, right? Although we have some good laboratory in terms of the forensic investigations, but this is something which would be aiding an advantage to it. Now, security related expenditures की अगर बात करें, the government has allocated almost 18,839 crore rupees that was specifically earmarked for the security related expenditure in the states like Jammu and Kashmir, which is a union territory, और जो insurgency है नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स में, इवन द लेफ्ट विंग एक्सट्रीमिस्ट के एरियाज हैं उनके लिए एक स्पेसिफिक डेलोकेशंस की गई है सिक्योरिटी पर्पस के लिए, एंड अ सम ऑफ 4,846 would be given to central government for the modernization of state police forces. Now, Supreme Court has earlier also intervened in this regard regarding the police modernizations. The Supreme Court ने अपने landmark judgment में प्रकाश सिंह केस में they have given 7 directives to consider before the police reform actually take place, and these are some of the core components that must be included in a police reform. This is what the Supreme Court has to categorically state in its judgment. However, due to lack of political will, ये जो directives थे still not implemented, और बहुत states में अभी भी इसके provisions pending है. So what are the 7 important parts that Supreme Court has provided in the Prakash Singh case? Let's understand. So Supreme Court ने 7 important directives दिए थे. First is the constitutions of they should consult and they should constitute a state security commission. This was the first directive. Second was to fix a 2-year tenure of DGP, because transfer or immediate transfer of the Director General of Police is something not under the spirit and functioning of the police forces. So एक fixed tenure की बात की गई, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं भी, उससे कम भी. 2-year terms for SP and SHO, the same applies for this. Separate investigations and LO function, setup of police establishment board to look into the other grievances, setup of police complaint authorities at state and district level, and last but not the least, that setup of a national security commission at the center level to monitor every aspects of the police functioning, a national level of security commission was required by the Supreme Court. So if you're writing in mains paper, make sure you incorporate the 7 points. Now, anti-lynching bill that was recently passed by the 4 states. What the central government has to say in their stand in terms of the anti-lynching bill, let's understand. So the Union Home Ministry has informed the Parliament in 2019 that there is no separate definitions of anti-lynching under the IPC, right? और गवर्नमेंट ने ये कहा है कि कोई एक स्पेसिफिक रूल्स नहीं है आईपीसी में मेंशन जहाँ पे एंटी लिंचिंग के बारे में बात की गई है. दिस इज ओनली डेल्ट अंडर द सेक्शन 300 and 302 of the Indian Penal Code, which is pertaining to a murder, right? So the center has said that the lynching is not defined under the, which is not a crime under the Indian Penal Code. Now, if you look into the states that have actually passed the anti-lynching bill, there are 4 important states. These names are important. The first, basically, if you look into, you can have a chronology. There's no chronology, sir. The latest one include the Jharkhand. उससे पहले 3 states ने की है, राजस्थान ने की है, वेस्ट बंगाल ने की और मणिपुर ने की है. The recent one was there from the Jharkhand government, which has come up with the mob violence and mob lynching bill 2021, right? This has to further passed by the state legislature, और इसमें फाइन रखी गई है up to 3 lakh to 25 lakh rupees, and even the imprisonment can also be there. So these are some of the important states that has come up with the anti-lynching bill. Now, NCRB की अगर डेटा देखें मॉब लिंचिंग में, so the National Crime Record Bureau has collected the data on mob lynching, hate crime और जो vinctilisms हैं उस पे, but the figure has not been published as the work was discontinued because these crimes were not defined, and even the data were not found were unreliable. So this is a concern that the government has to maintain a data which would be again used to ensure that कितने लोगों को इससे impact हुई है और government किस तरह से policy formulate कर सकती है. Now, states with anti-lynching bill, as I've told you, the figure Manipur, उसके बाद राजस्थान, West Bengal, और recently Jharkhand government ने pass किया, right? So this is how the first was when started with the Manipur, followed by Rajasthan, then West Bengal, and the latest one is Jharkhand. Now, government to make digital maps of all village, something very important for the people of this country, the rural area. They need to have a marking of their demarcations of their land and actually come to know that how things is working from the government end. So according to the Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India ने एक plan किया है that digital maps create की जाएंगी for around 6 lakh village और pan India की 3D mapping करनी है around 300 cities, right? So the 100 cities would be covered under this. So the decision has been taken to update the geospatial policy and the guideline. वहाँ पे जहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट ने भी नहीं रिसेंटली रेगुलराइज किया है कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट पॉलिसीज में. Now, updated geospatial policy and guideline. So this call for the private companies to prepare a variety of map without needing an approval from the ministries. So an exemptions has been provided to the companies under the PPP mode, and they can use drone via and other applications to develop our locations. Now, the geographical information based on the system would be useful for the management like फ्लड मैनेजमेंट की अगर बात की जाए, फॉरेस्ट मैनेजमेंट की बात की जाए, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की बात की जाए, लैंड रिकॉर्ड, वाटर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशंस एंड प्रॉपर्टी टैक्सेशंस, these are the things that would be taken into considerations. Now, the size of the Indian geospatial market in 2021 was around 23,345 crore rupees. Now, this include the other export also, but इसके future prospects ये देखे गए हैं that till 2025 this can grow up to 36,300 crore rupees. Now, Swamita scheme is already there in place, which government has started. So this is an ongoing scheme and pilot scheme by the Panchayati Raj Ministry. Swamita stand for survey of village and mapping with improved technology in village area that was launched in 2020. So what is the main aim of this Swamita Yojana? First is like 1 lakh property holders and they will be able to download their property card. So this would ensure an authentication and a certificate that would be given from the government end. 6.62 lakh village would be covered under the scheme in the rest 4 years. And the move will help the villages to use their property as a financial asset for the several financial benefits. So, एक track record रखी जाएगी government के पास भी, and even the certification from the government would be provided to the individual land owners. Now, Center releases National Hydrogen Policy, which is again very significant in terms of India's commitment to the recent Glasgow meeting, that is COP26. तो उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए ये एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट कमिटमेंट होगी और उसकी तरफ ये इनिशिएटिव काफ़ी अच्छी। The central government has recently unveiled the National Green Hydrogen Policy. ये पॉलिसी में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंसेंटिव्स की बात की गई है फॉर द पोटेंशियल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, जो जनरेशन कंपनीज है जिनको जेनकोस भी कहते हैं, एंड द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लाइसेंस टू द डिस्कॉम्स to boost the large scale indigenous production of green hydrogen. This is something that is going to be the game changer. Even India has promised for a net zero emissions, right? India ने net zero emissions की बात की है by 2070, and this was recently a statement that is coming from the Prime Minister himself in a Glasgow meeting. And what is the aim of national hydrogen policy? So this particular policy first and foremost aim to decarbonize the energy sector, right? इंडिया के जो डिपेंडेंस है फॉसिल फ्यूल पे या फिर क्रूड ऑयल के इंपोर्ट्स पे उसको कम करना. This is the first and foremost priority of the national hydrogen policy, which was recently envisaged by the central government. उसके अलावे वेवर की बात की गई है फॉर द इंटर स्टेट ट्रांसमिशन चार्जेस फॉर द नेक्स्ट 25 ईयर्स, वैसे वेंचर्स के लिए जो कि ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन प्रोड्यूस करेंगे इंडिया में. सो दिस इज अगेन सिग्निफिकेंट, प्रमोटिंग एंड मोटिवेटिंग द वेंचर्स वुड बी कमिंग अप फॉर द प्रोड्यूसिंग ऑफ ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन. जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स होंगे ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन के, लाइक ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन, अमोनिया एंड अदर रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी प्लांट, विल आल्सो बी गिवन कनेक्टिविटी टू द ग्रिड on priority basis. So these are some of the advantages that would be provided. इससे पहले जो भी procedural delay होती थी उसको कम किया गया, and the government wanted to ensure those ventures who are looking forward with the producing green hydrogen, they should be given the priority. Now apart from this, जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पावर है वो इम्प्लीमेंट करे इस पॉलिसी को टू प्रोवाइड अ क्लीन फ्यूल टू द कॉमन पीपल ऑफ दिस कंट्री, एंड दिस इज समथिंग विच इज द फ्यूचर ऑफ इंडियाज फ्यूल इंडस्ट्रीज, राइट? And this will produce, and this will also have a dependence on the fossil fuel to reduce the crude oil imports, because we invest a lot more forex in terms of purchasing the crude oil. तो वहाँ पे भी इंडिया को काफ़ी ज़्यादा advantages होगी, जो ग्लोबल कमिटमेंट है उसको पूरे करने में भी मदद मिलेगी. Now it gives the policy gives the companies to liberal set up a renewable energy capacity anywhere by themselves through a developers. So this is how the things are executed in right directions to ensure a sustainable and clean energy produced in our country. Now, renewable energy generations की अगर बात करें, so the policy specifically focuses on promoting the renewable energy in the renewable energy sector, which will be on the basic ingredient making the green hydrogens. और उसके अलावा इट विल हेल्प टू मीट द इंटरनेशनल कमिटमेंट ऑफ द क्लीन एनर्जी, स्पेसिफिकली हाईलाइटिंग द कोप 26. आप यहाँ पे इस पॉइंट को कोरिलेट कर सकते हैं. Now the center had itself set a target of 5 million ton green hydrogen production by 2030. This is what the target set by the government of India, and India set out that by 2070 जो net zero emissions की target है वो भी करनी है. This was a commitment, or you can say the vision that was set by the Prime Minister himself during the conference. And India will cut its climate emissions to net zero by 2070. These all are the details coming with regards to the renewable energy generations. Now, EdTech firms can tie up with the universities to develop the e-courses. This is in light of the fact that due to pandemic, the e-courses or the online learning portal was something that was essentially required in our country. So this would give a roadmap जहाँ पे universities अब e-courses के साथ काम कर पाएंगे EdTech firm के collaborations पे. So the UGC has granted a proposed amendment where they're encouraging कि जितने भी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ और कॉलेजेस हैं वो अब एक नए एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी या फिर जो टेक्नोलॉजी अपग्रेडेशन है उनको यूज़ करके जो एडटेक सेक्टर्स है उसको प्रमोट कर सकते हैं. सो दिस particular amendment was there by the UGC, which called for open and distance learning program regulation 2020, where the colleges offering online, that is for undergraduate and postgraduate courses, will be allowed to collaborate with the edtech platforms जहाँ पे वो अपने content या फिर जो financial rules है उसको लेकर के collaborate कर सकते हैं. And this amendment also called for the regulations that will put the domain suggestions feedback. Basically, even the government has come up, but अभी suggestions भी feedback ले रखी गई है. The public suggestions would be taken into consideration. Then the final rules and regulation has to be there by the government. Now, colleges जो ऑनलाइन डिग्री ऑफर करेंगे एज पर द यूजीसी चेयरमैन जो रेगुलेशंस है दैट हैज आल्सो प्लान फॉर द टॉप रेटेड ऑटोनोमस इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो कि ऑनलाइन डिग्री इसी सेशन से उनको देना है, दैट इज फॉर 2022 एंड 23. करेंटली कुछ ऐसे फ्यू यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैं जो अपनी constituent colleges पे ये criteria allow किए for the online degree. And at present, there are only 59 university offering 120 undergraduate, 29 postgraduate, 2 diploma degree online, and 50% of इसमें science courses हैं, 15%, 50% related to business administration, and 35% related to humanities. So definitely government wanted to enhance the level of online learning and promoting online education in our country. Now, to incentivize the formalization of involvement of the ed sector, जो digital education है, that will come when the government has come up using urging the industries player to conduct the business with transparency, right? So, at a time where the collaboration is there, it will call for a lot more regulations in part of no fraud is taking place, and the content delivery, the quality delivery is always there. Now, National Strategy on Additive Manufacturing. This is also known as 3D technology. So we'll understand how the government is focusing towards the 3D technology. So National Electronics, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, they have recently come up with a roadmap that is stated by National Strategy on Additive Manufacturing. This is also known as 3D printing. जो एम है गवर्नमेंट की is to increase India's shares on the global additive manufacturing to 5% in the next 5 years, and it expect that this is something which will add 1 billion to the GDP of the country. ग्लोबली भी आप देख सकते हो इसकी प्रोडक्शंस काफ़ी हाई रही है. 3D प्रिंटिंग यूज बाय द कंप्यूटर डिजाइंस टू मेक अ प्रोटोटाइप. एक प्रोटोटाइप क्रिएट की जाती है जहाँ पे एक सक्सेसिव लेयर ऑफ मटेरियल्स यूज होती है, एंड इवन द डिजाइन विच इज टफ कैन नॉट बी मेड मैनुअली बाय द मैन is possible with the 3D technology. Now, what is the aim of this policy? First and foremost, that India aims to achieve some target by 2025. For the next 3 years, the government has set a target, right? What are the target that was set by the government? So first is like 50 India specific technology, material, machines or software developed करनी है. 100 new startup that should become in the 3D manufacturing. This is what the government aims for, that a lot more companies should come, and the triple P partnership also be promoted in this sector. Now 500 new products, that is something which also is in the aim of the government policies, and even जो new startup और जो opportunities खोलेंगे लोगों के लिए नए startups में, that would create almost 1 lakh new skilled worker for the next 3 years. नेशनल स्ट्रैटेजी में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट बातों को सजेस्ट की गई है, लाइक 3D प्रिंटिंग की जो स्पेस है, इंडिया इसको हर एक सेक्टर में इंक्लूड करे, इवन इन द डिफेंस एंड पब्लिक सेक्टर, विच इज समथिंग एसेंशियली रिक्वायर्ड टू इनहांस द लेवल ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस. एंड एपेक्स बॉडी हैज कंस्टिट्यूटेड, जो सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट होंगे ग्लोबल इंडस्ट्रीज के, टू एस्टैब्लिश एंड लीड द मिशन. सो this would be under the supervision of the subject expert matter to ensure that this is going in the right direction. Now, what is 3D printing? You can see an image of this heart. This was basically done with the help of 3D printing. इसके बहुत सारे advantages हैं. I have also discussed the advantages of 3D printing in our daily news analysis video. You can check out that also. 3D printing की बात करें, 3D printing और additive printing जो है कंप्यूटर एडेड डिजाइन को यूज करती है, which call for प्रोटोटाइप, जहाँ पे अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट्स डेवलप किए जा सकते हैं. इवन लेयरिंग इज देयर सच एज प्लास्टिक, resin, thermoplast, metal, fiber and ceramic. So these are sort of the material that can be used via 3D printing, and even it helped the software model to be printed, the first developed computer that give instruction and print the 3D printer models. So again, जो मैनुअल वर्किंग है या फिर जो डिजाइन के वर्क्स में काम करते हैं, उसमें एक बहुत लेवल ऑफ एडवांसमेंट देखी जा सकती है. Now, India sent first batch of aid to Afghanistan. Now, India has already been helping Afghanistan throughout the pandemic. और इससे पहले जब वहाँ पे डेमोक्रेटिक गवर्नमेंट की सेटअप थी फुल फ्लेज्ड, तब भी इंडिया ने बहुत सारी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट की बातें कही हैं. So recently, India has sent the first batch of 2,500 tons of wheat to Afghanistan via Pakistan route. और ये over 4 months ये इंडिया ने इससे पहले भी ह्यूमैनिटेरियन क्राइसिस जो अफगानिस्तान में थी उसके लिए असिस्टेंस दी है. So the India's foreign secretary along with the Afghanistan ambassador and the World Program country director, they have flown the first convoy of 50 trucks carrying the consignment which would be giving an aid to the government. Although government of India ने अभी तक तालिबान की जो गवर्नमेंट है उसको recognize नहीं किया है, and India called for a democratic setup where the people are given equality, the women are given right to work. Now जो shipment है, this is commitment made by the government of India to supply 50,000 metric ton of wheat to the people of Afghanistan. ये जो wheat के assistance है, that would be delivered by the multiple consignment that would be handled over to the United Nations Food Program in Jalalabad in Afghanistan. So this is not going directly to the Taliban government. This is going to the United Nations Food Program because government of India ने अभी तक इसको recognize नहीं किया. They wanted if that Taliban government is coming with the full-fledged democratic setup, then only we can have a negotiation bilateral talks. Now India's proposals to Pakistan, India ने जो अफगानिस्तान को assistance दी है उसके लिए पाकिस्तान रूट का यूज करना था हमें. So the proposal was sent to Pakistan seeking a transit facility of 50,000 ton of wheat from like Pakistan roadways के इस्तेमाल करनी थी. इस वजह से assistance जरूर थी and it has received a positive response on 24th of November this last year only. So following this, the final modalities were there and the transportation of shipment has recently took place. कुछ ह्यूमैटेरियन एड जो इंडिया ने हेल्प की है अफगानिस्तान को. इंडिया हैज सप्लाइड ऑलमोस्ट 5 लाख डोजेज ऑफ द इंडिजियसली डेवलप्ड कोवैक्सीन. दिस वाज डेवलप्ड बाय भारत बायोटेक इन इंडिया इटसेल्फ. और 13 tons of essential life saving medicines and 500 unit of winter clothes were also provided. ये जो कंसाइनमेंट थी that was handed over to the World Health Organization at Indira Gandhi Hospital in Kabul, which was again developed by India. That is the reason the name is by Indira Gandhi Hospital. The last consignment of medical supplies was delivered on recently, and the first consignment of the humanitarian aid was there in the country. And India has added pitch for providing an unprecedented humanitarian to Afghanistan, जहाँ पे जो humanitarian crisis है उसको unfold किया जाए, and even the people of Afghanistan should be mutually benefited with India's assistance that has been given. Now, India-Australia interim trade agreement. This is with regards to the FTA, the free trade agreement that India and Australia has recently signed. So recently, India and Australia have announced that they are set to conclude an interim trade agreement in March, where the comprehensive economic cooperation agreement, this is CECA, जो आने वाले 12 से 18 महीने में डिसाइड की जाएगी, that how is a roadmap going ahead in terms of India's and Australia bilateral relations. What are the things that would be covered under the harvest agreement? By term harvest, I mean the early agreement that is taking place. उसमें क्या क्या advantages होंगे दोनों country के. So an interim and early trade agreement is used to liberalize the tariff, जहाँ पे certain goods from both the countries would be taken into consideration with the FTA. और मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स जो इंडिया की है उन्होंने कहा है दैट दे वुड बी अनाउंसिंग दैट नेक्स्ट 30 days what are the things most area of interest that these country is going to cover, which would include good services, rule of origin, sanitary, phytosanitary measures and custom procedures. Now अगर bilateral trade value की अगर बात करें, so the Ministry of Commerce and Industries in terms of bilateral trade that is going to establish between India and Australia, it has valued around 2.5 billion in the financial year, and it has already surpassed 7.7 billion for the next 10 months, right? So it is expected ये जो trade होगी उसकी value काफी high होगी, and India has imported merchandise worth of about 12.1 billion from Australia in the first 10 months of the fiscal, and this merchandise worth was of the same period was 5.6 billion. So this numbers might not be that important for you, but आपको ये trend पता होना चाहिए increasing की तरफ या decreasing की तरफ. Now the key imports from Australia include coal, gold, LNG, that is liquefied natural gas. Export from India include diesel, petroleum, gems and jewelries. Now future opportunities क्या क्या होंगी? According to the Ministry of Commerce, ये जो agreement है इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया के बीच में, this would set up an opportunity across the sector that would include mining, pharmaceutical, health, education, renewable energies, railways, gems, jewelries, tourism, transport and textile. So these are some of the relevant sectors which would provide opportunities for both India and Australia. And even India is likely to seek waiver access to both student, जहाँ पे प्रोफेशनल विजिटिंग जो ऑस्ट्रेलियन स्टूडेंट है दे वुड बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन फॉर देयर स्टडीज. एंड इंडिया इज लाइकली टू सीक मार्केट एक्सेस फॉर वाइन्स, एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट्स जहाँ पे विच इज़ नॉट प्रोड्यूस इन लार्ज स्केल इन इंडिया. सो ऐसी चीज़ें जो इंडिया नहीं प्रोड्यूस करती है वो इम्पोर्ट की जाएगी ऑस्ट्रेलिया से एट अ रिड्यूसर टेरिफ और द लोअर टेरिफ. Now, India and Australia have signed the Memorandum of Understanding to boost tourism between the two countries. Australia is a good destinations. Many people from India visit the place, and even the Australian people come to India. So tourism को boost करने के लिए भी ये trade की गई है. So these are some of the future opportunities that these two countries, both India and Australia, can avail. So this was all about the FCA 2, that is for the February. We have a lot more other initiatives in our YouTube, that is daily news and editorial analysis from two important newspaper, IS Gazetted Monthly Magazine, which you can download from our ISGAN website, Fortnight Current Affair, PIB MPR, that is Monthly Policy Review, and Must of Justin Yojana and Kurukshetra. And other blogs are there also. Mind map is there. You can check out all these initiatives. Some of them are in YouTube, some of them are in our ISGAN websites. So do check it out. These initiatives will definitely help you to sail through this journey of civil services. For any other concern, you can let me know. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.